Please welcome Nerima Wary.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you. That's a bit of a tough act to follow. The introduction is much better than who I am, I must say. So I would like to start today by telling a story. And it sounds like my story, but it is the story of all 23 fellows here today and of 700 fellows in the US today. So when I arrived here 6 weeks ago, I was struck by two things. Firstly, how hot it was in Charlottesville. It was so hot, heat I had never experienced in my life. It used to burn me, and I'd be like, how do they live like this? And the second thing was how accommodating everyone was. From when they picked us up at the airport, took us to our accommodation, they spent every hour of the day catering to our needs. I can testify to calling at least Johan and Ruhama at ungodly hours because of Wi-Fi. And they were so happy about it, they wouldn't even complain, not once. And as we've gone through this 6 weeks journey, it's really hard to describe what it's been like, but mostly it feels like a lesson of lifetimes in a very short space of time. And not just a lesson from the precinct, from the facilitators, from the faculties, a lesson from everyone that I've met, from my fellows, from sitting in the evening and chatting to my roommates, from having group discussions, and it's been in 6 weeks, and it feels transformative to come out 6 weeks later and know so much more than I did 6 weeks ago. And when I looked back into what was really special about the presidential precinct, it was the founding of civil society in a democratic space. This is something that a lot of us struggle with, but mostly the fact that somebody understood that civil society not only needs to exist, but can be the foundation for democracies. And they found a course curriculum around teaching us that your space isn't just there for you to advocate, it's for you to advocate for the inclusion of everybody, and for you to make democracy transform your country and make it different. And that was really powerful and impactful to have learned this for 6 weeks, and to come at the end and look back and say, what was special about this? It was that. And when I think about it, I'm glad I was chosen to come to the precinct. I can't imagine another experience. It might not have been as impactful. And before that, I would like to thank everybody at the precinct, Drew, Ruhama, Johan, Athena, Hannah, Larissa, for listening to us, for taking our pictures, all the phone calls, all the what may have seemed like stupid questions, all the obvious questions. When I asked you where I could do my dry cleaning, I could have Googled that, but you let me ask you and you Googled it for me. To all the partners that we met, Stuart, I would like to thank Morven for feeding us to within an inch of our lives. Ellen Bassett isn't here, but I'd like to thank UVA for accommodating us and really putting us in a space where we could learn. Sarah is here, and thank you so much for welcoming us to Morven and for something really impactful in our understanding of negotiation. It's really hard to thank everybody, but I will. Sylvia, I would like to thank Sylvia, but I cannot say her surname. That I must note right now. I try to read it over and over. It's such a difficult surname, but William and Mary was memorable for us for a number of reasons, but mostly the history around this institution and the traditions. Some are very fun, but mostly it was the fact that you can have an institution for 300 years that is still ongoing, that still wants to revive and revitalize itself, that still wants to reach out to more people. We don't see that very often because a lot of our institutions at home haven't quite lived that long. I don't want to miss out anyone. And I have everyone. And Emily Voss, and she's not here as well, from Montpellier, which is very proud of the tradition of not having ancestor worship. And when that was mentioned, I asked, what is ancestor worship to you? Because I realized we might have a different understanding, and we did have a different understanding of ancestor worship. They do not believe in memorializing people who could have done better. And for me, ancestor worship means I can pray to my ancestors and ask them to intercede with God. So I was quite confused when they kept speaking of Ancestor Worship. I'm like, I didn't know Americans were known for this. And to thank the Precinct, it would be very difficult not to thank them for including all the facilitators. 60 facilitators at the minimum we have seen. We had presidents of universities, Prof. Rowe, Prof. Sullivan. We had a sitting judge, Justice Thomas. We had media personalities. We had people in civil service, people in public management, the police, and their guns who were very welcoming. Local council members. There was such a wealth of facilitation that it was initially overwhelming, and it's going to take time to sit down and really set it and think what to pick from all those lessons, because there was such a wealth of facilitation, but it was diverse, it was incredible, and we learned so much because of it. And not to forget our mentors. Every week they showed up, and they helped us in our discussions, and they helped us frame our leadership plan, and they helped us understand what we want to do when we go back home. Some of the highlights, I would have to say, Justice Thomas, your poem, it really set off this fellowship and gave us an understanding of what light means beyond what we carry. Constitution writing, I think we all had a better understanding of what it means to have a stake in something so grand and what it means to want it to work, even beyond your own interests. Design thinking, I didn't understand a lot of it, but then Donya explained a lot of it. It was good to see that there's different ways to create solutions for your problems. Other highlights, Ruhama scoring that goal, yes. Ruhama scoring that goal, we're very proud of you, and that's the feminist in me. And shout out to Johan, Community of Scholars, I will never stop saying that. And to my fellow fellows, I would like to say, speaking from Justice Thomas's words, we are in the business of spreading light. And that shows me something. We have a privilege that many of our brothers and sisters do not have, not because they're not smart, not because they're not equally as brilliant, but because opportunities come to few, and when we get them, we need to appreciate that we are here representing not just us, not our organizations, but millions of young Africans who could do this with us, who could do this even better than us, but we were chosen to come here. And what we do with that privilege really does matter. When we go back home, what do we plan to give back? Because I know many young women who could be in this spot and do a wonderful job and be brilliant at this. And I know they can't be here today because of a number of reasons, true for many young men. So it's not just that we're here for us, we're here for our continent. We're here for all those millions of young Africans who can do this, but don't have the opportunity, don't have the time, don't have the space. And when we go home, that should ring through when we engage them. Because we are in the business of spreading light, not because others are in darkness, but they do not have similar privilege to gain the light. And I hope that is a carrying message that you take. I would like to finish by referencing Black Panther. We all watched it, I hope. But I would like to finish by referencing Black Panther. Black Panther was amazing for a number of reasons. Well, we had Denai acting as Okoye, women warriors, that was amazing, but mostly because it allowed us to imagine Africa without colonization and what it would be to be in Africa without colonization. We do not have that opportunity because we were colonized, but it's possible to see that we can be so far away from colonization that it will not matter anymore that we were colonized. And that takes a process of unlearning what we knew and learning new lessons for what we can be. And Black Panther mythologically showed us what we can be, so we have to strive for that. And one of my favorite political leaders, I'm going to use a quote from him, Thomas Sankara. I can't say it properly, I'm not French speaking. We have to work at decolonizing our mentality and achieving happiness within the limits of sacrifice we should be willing to make. We have to condition our people to accept themselves as they are, to not be ashamed of their real situation, to be satisfied with it, even to glorify in it. The process of decolonizing our continent starts with us. We have to decolonize our minds, and we have to see Africa as Wakanda. Thank you.